Hey everybody, it's Sherry,
And Bria.
and welcome back to another episode of Alleged Actually. Today, we do our recap on Married at First Sight Denver, and we're just going to get right on in there, guys. Last night, there's a lot to discuss. Shocker, the majority of it will be regarding Austin and Becca Becca and Austin. I think I gave them a new couple name, Austin and Becca. Okay, but Becca and Austin and Emily and Brennan. But
Yeah.
we're gonna get the first two order of business out the way. First thing, the first opening of the episode was with Chloe, who the experts have matched to marry Michael. If you guys remember, he was the one that got stood up at the altar or had the runaway bride incident. He's been rematched with Chloe, and Chloe basically opens up talking about how she's very happy, hopeful, and she's getting ready to go bride shopping for a wedding in a couple days. So I think we said last week that we thought maybe the wedding would be on this episode. Looking like we're going to see that probably next week. So
Yeah.
more to follow there. And Cameron. Cameron makes a quick cameo in this episode because he's getting ready for surgery for his heart flutter. I need to look into that condition. I'm really not familiar. He calls it heart flutter. I'm assuming it's some kind of condition that affects the pace that your heart beats, or you can't regulate your heartbeat, something of that sort. But
Yeah. I've never heard of that either. I've heard of heart murmur.
yes.
Now, but I don't know if that's the same thing. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
guess we'll
he's
just
not
see if he elaborates more on that because
I think
yeah.
he's kind of being elusive on purpose. And it's
Yeah,
a health condition is a private matter for some folks. Um,
absolutely.
he basically wants Claire to not stress out, which gives her the peace to kind of go on. And he said the best way that she can support him is by not worrying. So that's basically all we see from him in this episode. Well wishes, Cameron. My assumption is he's been on After Hours, so I believe he's doing fine. So
Yes.
good news there.
Mm.
All right, so now we're going to get into Miss Becca and Mr. Austin. The episode opens with them two going to a terrarium. Some cute little things. They put together, I'm not even sure what you call it, but it's almost like a plant aquarium, which I guess that's what a terrarium is. Bria, is that right?
Yes. I would say that's the most accurate word for it.
Okay. Well, child, Becca seems to find any and every opportunity to bring up sex. And the terrarium was no different. And so she brings up that she is very sex positive and that she generally goes with what her partner wants.
Mhm.
And he agrees. So then she asked him, what did he feel like was appropriate as far as the amount of sex that he would like to have in a relationship and or marriage. And he said once a day or every other day, which to me is realistic. I mean, nothing alarming there.
I think.
He then brought up about liking to incorporate some fingers and pegging.
Didn't she like bring this up in another episode though? So I feel like she shouldn't, or not she shouldn't be, but I feel like she wouldn't be opposed to it. She seems like a very,
Oh,
like I said, a sex positive or you said, a sex positive person. So, you're willing to when you describe yourself in that way, you're more willing to participate in I guess non-conventional or non-traditional things. So,
I would say so.
I mean, like I've always, and I'm going to stay by this. Becca's like way too agreeable, and but when you're in a position like this and your husband hasn't really made any advances to sleep with you like that, you start to wonder about things, and I can totally understand where she's coming from.
Sure. I mean,
Totally.
totally. So basically from there, we're gonna go it. I'm just gonna, well, I think I'm gonna put a pin there, go over to Emily and Brennan, and then come back to Becca and Austin.
Okay.
So guys, I pretty much after they have Becca and Austin end up their little sex talk, just so you know, on this episode, the couples get revisited by Dr. Pia. We always know when Dr. Pia comes a knocking that she's trying to find solutions, but it's an indication that further discussion is required. So when we open with Emily and Brennan approaches her about last night, which is the night that they were in the hot tub doing their exercise that was given to them by Dr. Pepper, where they had to ask each other poignant questions that were sincerely crafted by Dr. Pepper to address their issues. It seemed to not help, kind of seemed to hurt, simply because Brennan just didn't seem very open. She talks about her frustration about how he can't understand the question. He said he understood, and that he knew that she didn't feel supported. So basically what she was saying is he said that he had felt better about that night after he slept on it, which is on brand for Brennan. You know, they have their fights. She gets upset, but Brennan likes to go in his corner and kind of get away, set a deal, and then the next day it's as if nothing ever happened. Bria, what did you think? I mean,
like you said, it's very on brand for him. He doesn't want it's clear that he doesn't want to be there. He made it clear from the very beginning when they first moved in that he didn't want to spend a whole lot of time at, with her in that shared space.
Nope.
So my my thing with Emily, she perplexes me a little bit, because you look at her and you say, or you think that, she's this confident woman who's, about her business. She has a good career, cute enough to get
Absolutely.
who she wants. And so when you see her just kind of like, make those, because she's smart, like when he's talking to her, you can see her make those faces like,
Oh yeah.
Like it's all in her expression.
All in her countenance.
Yes, absolutely. So it just, I don't know, it makes me, I don't know. I'm still kind of trying to figure out why they were matched. And we can, like, as we progress into later,
because
we can talk about the after party, because on the after party or after show, whatever, the Keisha Knight podium is on, it kind of becomes a little clear to me why they're matched, but we can get to that a little later.
Okay, yeah, because after we get through really the episode, guys, what we want to do is really kind of dive into some of the things that we feel like is going on with the show, with this particular cast. Bria and I like to do our research. We kind of reach out to other fans of the show to kind of see what the consensus, what people are thinking, and then it brings up the topic of what we, where we are in that same mix of how we're feeling about the show. So to get through the episode, basically from there, Brennan does apologize, and but Emily really doesn't feel like it means anything if he keeps doing the same thing. So they have an exercise next to write a note to your younger self, and Emily reads hers first. And basically the consensus was she basically talks about how she had to endure her dad pushing her so hard. And, she talks about this a lot. And so I find some parallels between her and Austin, maybe to the opposite side of the spectrum, but there's something that they share with maybe some kind of bond in unhealthy relationships with parents.
Yeah, especially
And
father.
yes, her father was actually her soccer coach.
Yeah.
Apparently, Emily was really good at soccer. She said, and we'll talk about that. That's one of the dates they go on. But
Mhm.
her letter to herself was basically saying that, what, despite how he pushes you and how you feel or how he makes you feel, all the pressure that he puts on you, that you still make it, that you're accomplished, and there's so much more to you than soccer. So that gives us a really deep dive into kind of what makes Emily tick, what may even be the connection between Emily and Brennan, if you will.
Absolutely. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So Brennan reads his next, and his talks about his mom and dad again and the pressure he felt in high school. And it didn't give, true to Brennan's again brand. It didn't give a whole lot, but the consensus of his note to himself was basically, despite all that, similar. He came out okay. She asked him who he leaned on because, to the opposite spectrum of Emily, his parents were not as available or as supportive. They put the pressure on him, but he did not feel supported by his parents. And when Emily asked who did he lean on, he basically said his friend's dad. Now, this is when Brennan is about 13 years old. Apparently, he has a friend that has a father that was in real estate. And at 13, he basically just leaned into one of his friend's dads as like a mentor and really tried to soak up that wisdom, and was actually working at 13 when other 13-year-old boys are kind of hanging out playing video games or sports or what have you. That didn't happen for Brennan. So, and some people, they say, well, so what? So he still had a male figure, and he had somebody that kind of tried to help mold him and guide him. However, he seems to be missing something from his parents, and that's kind of what the takeaway to me was from that. And so after that, the cast gets together like they typically do from time to time for a cookout. So we have Emily, Becca, Claire, and then we have Austin and Brennan on the grill. But the ladies kind of get together and they do their chatting. No show up this time from Lauren and Orion. So I guess they're like legit done. Is that
God.
correct? I
Amen.
know, right?
I didn't, I just didn't want to see Orion like just be there just to like say stupid nothings and
Mm-hmm.
put her down more. And then Lauren, I don't know, just trying to be the bigger person. I'm glad I didn't see this in this episode.
I
Thank,
I
thank you.
agree. Yeah. Lifetime, thanks for sparing us.
Appreciate
So it pans to Brennan and Austin. And of course, Brennan is telling Austin how hard it still is for him to be with, God bless, Emily. And child, whatever. But he does say that they're working it out, and he says that he's so enjoying this reset. And he gets into his typical quote, "We're taking it day by day." But let me just tell you, this reset is Brennan's get out of free jail card. It really, for him, gives him the freedom to not feel obligated to spend time with her,
There you go.
to cohabitate with her,
Yes.
right. He gets to put the brakes on everything
Yes.
that they,
I mean,
right.
right. I mean, he's essentially setting them back to a friendship level. You don't do all of that with your friend, right? And so
No.
it's an out for him. It very much is an out.
Yeah, it's a total out. And Emily's grasping at straws. But anyway,
She is, but you can tell that she knows it's not. I mean, like what she says doesn't match her facial
It
expressions,
does.
but you can tell like she can't
She's
hide what she
apprehensive.
thinks. Yes, and she's just like, she's squinting the whole episode, just kind of like looking at him like you're full of
Yeah.
sugar honey iced tea. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, Emily's no dummy. And
No.
she's hanging in there, but you can tell he's not got a whole lot of wiggle room. She's not going to let it go but so much longer. She's really about to reach her tolerance level. And we get to see a little bit of that in the episode, just a wee bit.
Mhm.
So then it pans to the ladies. So Becca's, of course, telling the ladies she is so ready to have sex. Shocker, we know, Becca. We know.
Right. But she's been ready for like about what 4 episodes now. Like she
Yeah.
wants him bad. Like,
She
but
does. She
but like
does. Well,
but yeah, continue on because I already said how I feel about them. I think that Austin is
you
just
know, you're not by yourself, Bria. When I've
I
started to
know
do
I'm
my
not.
reading and like checking in with some other fans, I was like, oh God, they are echoing Bria's sentiments. So
Yeah, he
well,
doesn't
yeah, we
and
had
he's a nice guy. I think that juxtaposing him next to Brennan makes him look like a saint, of course.
that part.
But I mean, he's he does not want Becca. Like, and Becca's I think that she's great. I think she's really sweet. I think that she's cute. I mean, it's nothing against her. I just think that Austin's into something a little bit different. That's all. It's not his cup of tea.
Sadly, I'm starting to get swayed to that side. And
Yes.
it's reluctantly though. It's reluctantly.
Look at his face and his body language. It tells an entirely different story than what he's saying or what he's like trying to make her believe. It's
Right.
I'm telling you.
You're right. Well, so like I said, Becca's telling the ladies she's like, okay, basically ready to have sex with her husband, but she's been ready. And Claire pretty much tells her that she admires her positivity, which is code word for girl, you better than me.
Right.
Claire tells the ladies about Cameron's health issues, and then Becca tells Claire that, you know, being someone with health issues and being the person that had to be cared for, that she's doing what she should to actually support Cameron. And so she affirms Claire, which I thought was nice. We're still kind of unclear on what Becca's health issues are. But apparently, whatever it is, there are episodes where she's also had to be in the role where those that love her had to be caretakers. Claire then goes on to say, look, you know, guys, I want to live up to my vows, which I was confused on. Kind of like the in sickness and in health, like she doesn't want to not support him in this. And yeah, so they talk a little more about that. I was a little perplexed there. I just generally think that Claire feels guilty.
I
And
think yeah. I think the producers told her to say that. I don't think that she really I think she wanted to be done. I think that the producers are still trying to hang on to them for the little bit of storyline that they have left. I think that they're trying to use Cam's sickness as an angle, which is messed up, but I think the producers told her to
honey, you could be
consider
right.
that into a yeah.
Because this episode is literally falling, or this season is literally falling apart. And they were, I think, toward the tail end of that show last night. They're on 22 days before decision day, so we're talking about 3 more weeks, guys, and then it wraps up.
Mhm.
And I mean, now don't get me wrong, because Lifetime will drag,
They will.
but if it goes as it should go, we were looking at probably about 3 more episodes before decision day, and then of course all the shows that follow suit, the tell all, the after show, or the whatever, reunion tell all, blah blah blah. But so they're still out there with the cookout scene. Becca and Austin are playing pool, and then who should show up but Michael? He comes by to let the group know that he is going to get married for the second time. I'm married at first sight. And the group is supportive, which was nice. He then invites everybody to come to his next wedding, but Becca and Austin have plans out of town. However, the rest of the group is going to be there supporting Michael, which I thought was lovely. And Austin also encourages Michael, letting him know this is going to be the one. This is going to be good. So then, guys, we run over to Brennan. So the cookout's wrapped up, and then we see Brennan talking to his friend via some sort of video chat format. I don't know if it was FaceTiming, whatever, but he was actually on his laptop. And he talks to his friend, which I thought this was a really, really good part of the episode. Brennan's talking to his friend who is being really honest, and he talks about how he isn't used to not having a romantic element in his relationships. Okay, very telling. It's the closest to him admitting that he is not into Emily that way.
Yep.
So there's that. And his friend tells him that he tends to get things in his head and can't seem to get out of his own way. So, I mean, apparently this friend has known Brennan for a while. Heck, I've known him for how many episodes? And I think I know that too. But yeah, so basically he says, well, he wants his friend's approval because I think there's something in Brennan that just can't stand any sort of negative. I wouldn't even say negative. Let's say constructive criticism.
Mm-hmm.
He gets very defensive, childlike, what have you. But he wants to offer his friend something, like, because his friend was like, okay, well, he says, well, you know, we're going in the right direction. We went to lunch together and we had a good time. Yeah, I really enjoyed our company. And his friend's reaction is, you can go to lunch with your friends. I mean, that is not a step in the right direction.
Right.
Brennan is really, child, he's trying it. And his friend basically says that he's stuck in going through the motions. And Brennan said, well, you know, we're going to open up lines of communication and talk more. Okay. So from that, you know, we can deduct that this is not new behavior for Brennan. I don't know that it's behavior that necessarily has shown itself in his relationships with his girlfriends in the past. But apparently this is nothing new. Particularly if something doesn't go right, he seems to, like his friend says, kind of get in his head about things and then like literally can't let things go. Mm-hmm. So Bree, what do you think about the scene with his friend chatting? I mean, his friend was smart. He gave him some good advice.
Yes. That he seems like, or that it seems like that's his sounding board friend where, you know, yes, you get the good advice and that you half the time listen to, half the time don't because you're set in your own way. He knows him. He knows him well. And I think that he knows that Brennan isn't feeling this girl. Yeah. I think in an indirect way, like he was trying to tell him, hey, just you already look bad enough. Like don't just leave now. Leave now so that you don't look worse by the end of the season. But you know, people like Brennan, they want to see it through. They want to make it to the end and be like, no, I want a divorce because, and then, you know, shift the blame to the other
I guarantee on decision day, Mr. Deflection will have a laundry list of why. Because every time he's been asked, what is it, he can't say, right? Guarantee on that day he'll say
he's going to have a
bullet points.
A bullet, yes, everything. And he's going to, yes, list all that he doesn't want or like or, yes, about her. I just, he's just, I don't know. I can't stand him. He, like I said, he reminds me of an ex I used to have, so I don't have a whole lot of good things to say about Brennan. I don't and never will. So
So Brennan triggers you a little bit, huh?
a little bit, yes, just a little bit.
Gotcha. Understood, child. Well, guys, they decide to, do what they do best is go on these little outings and dates. They go to play indoor soccer, which is Emily's wheelhouse, honey. And
Mhm.
she tells them how she played on some premier teams and that she was captain of her team. Not a shocker.
Mhm.
Mm-mm. They had fun. Brennan was impressed with her skills, and basically, true to Brennan's brand, again says, "Okay, yeah, I see, you got the skills because you beat me." Child, was he not listening? Emily was competitive in soccer. She wasn't just anybody. Of
No,
course, she beat you,
she
bro.
was that girl. She was
She
that
was
girl.
that girl. She didn't play in soccer because she was a little girl. I mean, look, she really was that girl. So,
Yeah.
beating you, Brennan, was something she could have done in her sleep, but yeah, just
Mhm.
whatever. But so then she goes in again about her dad and how he's pushed her so hard and put all this pressure on her. But Brennan again, I'm telling you, this time it's like a light bulb came on because it's like again, she's here, Brennan's here. He's like, oh, well, he says he can relate. He talked about this was crazy. Talked about playing soccer and baseball when he was about when he first started out, he was bad because she was saying when she first started soccer, she wasn't good. But her dad kept her in it. Maybe her dad was a more aggressive kind of like the screaming, the hollering. You've seen the type. I have. My kids play sports.
Yes.
And you got those coaches that see something in the child but don't know how to pull the positive pieces out of it with being a little too aggressive. Sometimes that has the opposite effect.
That's very,
Basically, he was saying,
especially with it being your parent too. That's a
yeah,
different dynamic that I've haven't like I said that is different. Dad, he was didn't he coach us in basketball for like a
he
short
did
time? He did.
for a
Yeah.
short time. He took over.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. So so I don't really have a whole lot, but I mean like I can tell that that would be a a different because you want to make your father proud. I mean, you
sure.
do. And it's and the duality of it being your coach and your father, because that's like usually people think of a coach as a father figure, you
Mhm.
know, that close. It's just I can imagine the pressure that was put on her.
I'm sure.
So,
And then when a lot of times it can be either way, but a lot of times when you have a parent that is competitive and or see something in their child, they're harder on their own child than they are on the rest of the team. And
mhm.
because their expectations are different. And
Yeah,
so apparently that's her side of the story. That seems to be the case. And it seems to have definitely left a scar on her because she brings it up a lot.
yeah,
Um, yeah. And so when he tells her about his short-lived time in sports, he was saying that perhaps had he had what she had, he took what she said and put a positive spin on it. She's kind of like trying to share her trauma. All Brendan is hearing is, "You're
well, he
lucky.
was
Had I
involved.
had that,
Yeah.
right? Had I had that," he was saying maybe I would have made the high school team. And because he
Right.
didn't, he said that he wished he had someone like what Emily had that pushed him to be better. Um, so I really find that so interesting because I don't know that I recognize they bickered a lot before, but in last night's episode, you could see that though they both had issues with their parents, I'm telling you, they're total on different spectrums. And and Brennan is impressed with what she's traumatized by. And so
Yeah. No, and I think that he appreciated that kind of commonality in the way that like both of their fathers were hard on them.
yes.
It seemed like Brennan's father was definitely more distant than Emily's. Emily's was more involved and actually saw her through what he wanted for her life.
Mhm.
Brennan's father was just kind of hard on him and just was like,
Just in general, right. Like he
yes,
could do no right by his dad, so to
right,
speak.
exactly,
Right.
exactly. But I think what Brennan's also missing is that um, maybe I shouldn't. Never mind. I feel like father-daughter relationship is different than a father-son
No,
relationship.
it is. No,
Yeah.
for sure. And that may
So
even have something to do with the strain between him and his sister. Who knows?
yeah, absolutely. I think that Brennan misses that love from his, and that's mainly his issue, is he didn't really have or didn't feel the love from his father growing up. And so now he's just very, I don't want to talk about emotion. I don't want to, because
Right.
that's the example that he had, it seems like. So,
I think you're right. And I remember on the season or the I'm keeping saying season, the episode last week when he made the comment that he thought he was somehow different than his parents, like it was his desire to work things out and make things better. That's why Emily made that face like you know. So it's like, no, you're following right in your parents' footsteps, sir.
right.
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 Absolutely not. But
Yeah.
in his mind, and that's why, like sometimes you listen to people and you're like, they don't get it. Like they don't see themselves, right? And
Right.
so I find it very, very interesting. So then basically Brennan asked if it was refreshing that her dad believed in her so much and proceeds to give her compliments. And he says he could see how she was captain because she's a great leader. And I mean, that part ended up well, but that's true to form. Like when they go do stuff together, they generally do have a good time. So it's not like, Brennan never says that he's like hanging out with her. I mean, that's one of the few things he will compliment her on. Like, man, we have a good time as long as we don't go deep, right?
Right. Like she cool as long as it stays on the surface.
Right, right, right. Okay,
That's
so
not, that's, you can't, go through a marriage like that.
you
You gotta
can't.
get
That's
through.
not a marriage. Friendship is definitely part of a marriage. I mean, you need to be friends to have a good, healthy relationship, but you can't stay in the friend zone and you
No.
know what I mean? No. Anywho, child, in comes the show professional, the resident expert, Dr. Pia. And she goes and she visits both Becca and Austin and Emily and Brennan. Since right now we're on Emily and Brennan, I'm gonna hop into that one. Um, man, it was a lot. Brennan was still doing that same thing. Dr. Pia is a good one, y'all. Cause listen, she's no stranger, of course. I mean, this is her profession. I'm sure she's dealt with people that have a hard time expressing themselves, and that sometimes the natural reaction when you don't want to talk about something, of course, is anger, right?
Mhm.
But she brings up how negative he was on the first visit. And when she actually suggested the teaching exercise, Emily tells Dr. Pia Brennan changed it to a hug exercise instead of the touching. If you remember, part of one of the exercise was they were supposed to touch each other wherever and,
With,
kind of get used
with as
to
minimal clothes as possible too. Add that part in
that's
because that's
true.
what you had a problem with.
That's true. Yes, that was actually a part of that. And he was not there for any of that. He changed it to a hug exercise,
Fully
which
clothed.
Emily, yeah, fully clothed. Amen. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So he friend that right on out. Okay.
Mhm.
So Emily takes the opportunity to tell, like I said, Dr. Peter that he changed it. And then Emily feels that he changed it because he didn't want to do the touching exercise. I mean, because I got her, Pia asked, well, why do you think he changed it? She's like, because he didn't want to do it. Like he didn't want to engage in touching each other like that.
Accurate.
No, Brenna,
No
right?
lie. No lie detected at all. Yes.
You can see too. I don't know about you, Bria, but like, well, yeah, I know you did because you said you are a body language girl. So
I, I,
did
I
you
watched
watch
it.
him when she
Uh-huh.
was kind of like tattletelling on how Brennan just like changed up the whole exercise?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I did. And
Yeah. So
um, quite frankly, I'm a little glad that he's not as attracted to her because when the camera is cut off, he could seriously, if it's a girl, okay, when it's someone that you're not attracted to and they're talking about you, you tend to, I mean, yes, you get a little angry because you want them to, but I mean, if it's someone that you're attracted to, I just feel like, okay, that he would seriously hurt her if he had feelings for her and she was divulging his imperfections and how he didn't follow through the process like he said he would. And so I don't know. I just he seems like he could be very scary if like under his right circumstances is what I'm getting. And
She
what
actually,
I got from that body language really is
he's
that
intense. Yeah.
yes. And on the like I said, I'll wait till we get to that. But on the after show, she did admit a few things, but
Oh, okay. I'm ready to get there, but all
okay,
right,
yes.
we're gonna get through this episode, and then we're gonna dish a little deeper on
Mhm.
that. Dr. Pia basically asked Brennan directly about his defensiveness. He doesn't want to talk about the past, which for him, the past is literally their last session. Dr. Pia says that she feels Emily's holding back because you kind of see Emily making faces per Emily, right?
Mhm.
And she's not saying what she truly wants to. Emily says that he's more reactive off camera and doesn't want to be seen in a negative light. That's very telling, guys.
There, yes. And she divulged a little bit more on the after party, after show. Is it the after party or after show? What is that called? After party?
I think it's the after party, yeah.
Yeah.
With Keisha and I.
She went a little more into it.
Oh, good. We will get into that, guys.
Yeah.
But for the remainder of this episode, basically Dr. Pierre asked Brennan if he thinks he's being defensive. She asked if he believes that Emily's opinion matters. He says yeah. He doesn't like the defensive questions, and so he kind of like dodges those. She asking his friendships if he can have those difficult conversations and be pushed by his friends, and he says all the time about that. Dr. Pierre asked if he trusts Emily. He says that he thinks they are rebuilding trust now. And so he says when they he says he would like it because she asked him what does trust look like, and he says that basically that means when you say that you're going to do something, you do it. And of course he is relating that to he didn't want Emily to bring up the negative things that happened in the last session and him not following through with the exercise, child. That's what it meant. He don't like to look bad.
Yep.
Emily wanted to know what did she do to break his trust, but Dr. Pia quieted her down because, and I'll tell you why I think she did it. I think it was because Brennan was getting to the place of level of frustration that he could not hear her anyway. I mean, Emily had every right to say like, well, what did I do to literally break your trust? I mean, it was a fair question, right? So anyway, Dr. Pia asked Emily why she doesn't validate him and acknowledge the effort he's made. And I think she kind of thought about that. I think because, and still, you could see that Emily was really holding back because I think in her mind, well, she even says, she really thinks she does validate him. And, but anyway, Dr. Pia says that they both seem to be coming across as defensive. And Emily says she thinks they can do better. And that's why she wanted to be honest. Meaning that's why she brought up those things. The fact that he didn't do the touching exercise. The fact that things aren't going where they should go. Seemingly, instead of going forward, they're taking major steps backwards. But then Dr. Pia kind of asked him to define friendship, which they both do, basically. In Brennan, he wants respect, loyalty, honesty, communication, which I find rich. She likes trustworthiness, caring, etc. Child, at the end of the episode, she looked extremely irritated, but we're going to get into it. Now, I'm going to talk about Becca and Austin's visit from Dr. Pia, and then we're going to get into a little bit more about what we're feeling about this season of Married at First Sight Denver and the couples. But Dr. Pia comes by and visits Becca and Austin, and she talks to them basically about how they are, where they're at. And of course, Becca brings up how she doesn't feel as desired as she has in other relationships by Austin. He says he does desire her. He just takes things slower. I mean, they've been married now a little over a month, sleeping in the same bed. Mm-hmm. This man really desired her. I'm having a hard time with that, but that's what he said, Joe.
Right. I mean, I would think that you would at least do something. I mean, his sex is like it's broad, right? And so you know,
right.
you don't
you can
go
let somebody know you're about it without the full act, right?
Yeah. Right. I find it very hard to believe when men say things like that, or like on shows like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because you don't have a whole lot of time to take it slow, for real. So if you signed up for a show like this, then what are
that
you
part?
Can't. So if you
listen,
right, if you like to take it slow, why are you on a show where you have to decide whether you want to be married to somebody for like 2 months?
I 1,000%. Married, legit married. They're legally married. Mm-hmm. And you know, that's what the other thing that drives me a little nuts is because you're right. It's like these guys get on here, and I mean, some women have done it too, but
yeah,
lately it's been the guys, and you know, they're gun ho. You see them at their little bachelor parties, and they're talking about what they do, yes. And this, da, da, da. You get with their wives, and it's like Snail Trail City. I mean, it is turtle race to the finish line. You know, we're gonna talk about that. I'm gonna finish this up so we can get into the after party, and then just kind of talk through a few things. So, you know, after Becca expresses herself, you can tell it makes Austin feel bad. You know, Dr. Pia asked Becca, how does it make her feel? And basically, it makes her feel bad. You know, it makes her question herself. And so she asked Austin what's holding him back. And he says he really doesn't know what's holding him back. But then he goes on to say that she talks about it all the time. And that he feels like it's that reason that it's kind of getting in his head and he feels pressure. And Dr. Pia says that she feels like the pressure, you know, is that's the problem. And so I think her advice is kind of like take the pressure off, because apparently, and to Austin's defense, Becca has been coming at him. They could be walking in the park. She brings up a sex remark. They could be watching a movie. She brings up a sex remark. I mean,
no,
I'm not mad at her. I mean, she's ready. I mean, she can't say it any more clearer. And I mean, he knows. But anyway, so basically she encourages them to like take the pressure out of the game. Like there's no set time that you have to do it, but just kind of concentrate on more foreplay. And then Becca feels bad when he kind of like puts her on blast, and she's like, God, I don't want you to feel pressured. Dr. Pia says, remove expectations. You know, just let it happen.
Yeah.
Let it happen naturally. And that was really, really good advice. So basically, after that, they receive a gift basket at their door full of things to spice up their sex life. And Ray, I need to ask you this, because I mean, I did not get it. I might have looked away 1 second too long. Please let me know. What in God's name was sexy about that game? That Austin done turned chairs over, child. He putting ottomans in place. First of all, I'm thinking Becca's gonna break her damn neck. I mean,
right.
I mean, really, I didn't get it. What did I miss? What about that? I mean, maybe was it a trust exercise? Because what about that was sexy, child? He put, y'all, if you didn't watch it, go back. But listen, he put, because you know, she's in the bedroom with the handcuffs on. Becca's like, yeah. He's like, oh, no, Ooh, let's do the handcuffs. I want you to be blindfolded, babe. And I want to put a bunch of stuff in your track so you can fall and break your neck. That's
Absolutely, so that you can't
Wow.
even try it anymore. Yes, that is exactly what I got from it. What he was doing.
Listen, y'all.
No, he was, yeah.
That's how he can come with that bag of stuff, that basket of stuff.
Right. If you are interested, like, what was the word that he used? I don't know, but if you say that you want to be with your partner, like you're attracted sexually,
Yeah.
and you want to go there with your partner, why? Why do all that?
Baby,
I just don't. And so
I had looked down for a second and I see him turning over bar stools and I'm thinking, well, what
an obstacle course, a maze to get to the D. That's crazy.
It made no sense. And when he told her to crawl on that ottoman, I said, that baby gonna fall off and break. That ottoman was around. Did you see? Listen, I'm done. Okay. Let me just finish this up, y'all, because please.
I told you,
if that's all you got.
But listen, doesn't this validate what I've been saying, that he don't want her like that? Thank you. Because what? If you are serious about, especially if a man is serious about wanting to sleep with a woman, right? And then that woman is also serious about wanting to sleep with him, it would just happen. It would just happen, if you know what I'm saying. It would just happen. Like, you don't gotta crawl across no ottomans to get to nothing. He would just give it to you, baby. That's it.
I'm done. Listen. He redeems himself, I guess, semi in the next scene. He set up a romantic setup in the bedroom. So he's got the candles going and the rose petals on the bed. That's always nice. So Becca is letting him take the lead, which I don't see where she never did let him take the lead, but she's conscious of letting him lead. She says that's not normal for her. And so hence maybe that's her.
You can tell it's not.
Right. Because that's where her aggression maybe comes from, by over talking about it. Because that's her way of saying, yo, let's. But okay. They end up playing Sexy Truth or Dare. And Austin leans in and starts initiating some kissing. And child, it goes off where it appears that they may have consummated their marriage, but I don't have high hopes. They sure wanted to make it look like it, but I don't. No. I mean, that's pretty much the episode.
Maybe. Now, if there was like alcohol involved, possibly. But
there was some heavy petting going on. So I mean, he was definitely spicing up. Even if it was just a makeout session, it was a nice. I would think that would have made her feel somewhat better.
Yes.
He was giving it a shot. A more sane shot, if that's what if your end goal is to show your spouse that you sexually desire them. I mean, that made more sense than the whole maze when she was blindfolded about to break her neck. But so Bria, let's get into it. Talk to me about this after the after party. What tea was divulged at that after party?
Well, see, okay, so Keisha Napoleon was like really trying to dig into Emily. Like she was coming at her a little hard and trying to get her to just, divulge a little more. And she admitted, with tears coming down, she got emotional because, Keisha did fire back at her because Emily wanted to not talk about the episode at all. She was just like, she's at the point where she's
kind of tired,
just kind of over it, right? And so Keisha pushes back and then Emily starts crying and she's like, well, yes, he would pace back and forth and like throw things at the wall constantly when the cameras weren't rolling. And it made her very, very uncomfortable. And so when the cameras were rolling, you can kind of see her like flinch a little. I don't know, like she looks very unsure and very unsafe because I rewatched it after I watched the after party. And I was like, she looks a little, instead of like skeptical, like some scenes she genuinely looks scared. like what is he about to do? Like, is he about to show the off-camera Brennan now, or
Oh, wow.
so? Yeah. So she didn't say that he hit her, thank goodness, but he would pace back and forth constantly and just throw things.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a massive red flag.
Very.
Okay. Well, I wanted to ask you, some of the content that I read from some of those that watched the after party, what was this they were saying about Emily kind of grilling Austin about the sex part? Because some even said they thought Emily was drunk. Did you see that?
I think that she might have been a little bit, but I think what perturbed me about that is you have all this energy for Austin. Where was it for?
Or Brennan?
Right.
Oh God.
And yet,
Okay, no, that's
okay,
something.
if you're scared, and I'll go back. If she was scared of him, then okay.
Right.
But I mean, when the camera's rolling and you've got these producers and security all around you, I mean, I just don't see why that energy couldn't have been used on someone more fitting for your,
Yeah.
in your situation.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, they say that she was really coming for Austin real
she
bad.
she
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, I know that she knows that Becca really, really adored him.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know if they're still together, but like I said, my theory is that they're not. All the girls constantly show up in pink and it's giving girl power. We're single and unified.
Yeah.
So I don't I don't know. I don't know. But I think things happened after that she's a little irritated about, maybe, and that hasn't been broadcasted
Address.
yet. Or, yes,
Okay. And so
and so
she was
that's
kind
why
of
I
like,
think she's
yeah.
a little bit white. People are like, "Well, this came out of left field." I think that
She's reacting to
none
something
of
that happened that we're not privy to
yeah
yet.
that we're not privy
Okay.
to. There you go. And
Got
I
it.
think that like I said, I think none of the couples stayed together. I think they're all single now. I think
Okay.
that all of the girls are really pushing back in the after party with the men, especially because if you notice, there's usually only like one girl from this season and two guys, or maybe like one girl from this season and one girl from like Nashville or another season and a guy.
Right.
It's never like
That's
two
true.
girls.
That's
I've
true.
noticed. And so they're pushing back and they're defending the girls hard. So love that for them. But yeah, I think that's where her position comes in. I think that's why she was grilling Austin so hard, because Becca, that's her girl.
That's
So
her girl. Yeah.
and she and Becca, and because wasn't Becca the one that she came to and like really divulged all this stuff
Oh,
to first?
yes.
Because
Yes.
nobody
And
really
Becca.
knew what was going on
Right.
until Emily went to, or I think they had a couples night or whatever, and they talked to each other.
They did. Yeah.
And she got real with Becca and was like, yeah, he don't like me. So I don't know what I'm doing. And then
Yeah.
Becca was like, what? Why wouldn't he? So I think they're very close. And that's
I
why.
think so.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, if it was one of my girls, I'd be, I might go hard too. It's my nature.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can tell Becca's a girl's girl.
Yeah.
And just, she's one of those friends that's like, you deserve better. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just
Like you can't see it for yourself, but you
girl.
got it for your girls, right?
Yes. One of those good girls. One of good girls that just want to see you win. So I
Absolutely.
think that all of the girls are like that with Becca in some form or fashion.
Becca
And
is so sweet.
yes, they detest Austin, I'm sure.
They're very protective of Becca. I gathered that. Because
Mhm.
she gives off she does give off really sweet energy, and
Yeah, sweet
she's really
support.
put her all into this. And yeah. Okay, well, So we're going to end this pretty much with let's do a quick check-in with how you're feeling about Married at First Sight in general.
Mhm.
I have read things where there's literally a petition to end the show because it seems to trigger a lot of people that have dealt with, and this is something I legit read today, emotional, physical, and mental abuse.
Mhm.
And I think that again, and me and Maria talked about this, and I've asked you guys, and we're going to ask you to comment, please, and tell us what you're feeling about Married at First Sight as the whole show, not just this season, and then how you feel about this season. The guys are getting a bad rap.
Mhm.
Seems like these guys just aren't into their women,
Mm-mm.
and they're making every excuse in the book. Um, the girls, I think, like Bria said, they're showing solidarity.
Yes.
Um, they're a stronger group. You know, they seem to be a stronger group. They know how to get in touch with their feelings and articulate them very well. And they're very supportive of each other, which I love. Because some seasons prior to that, you might have had one that was struggling, and you may have had a friend that would try. But you know, when your marriage is stellar and moving along, the advice doesn't land as well because it's like, well, look at you over here doing good, and look at me. So, I mean, thanks for feeling sorry for me, but I can't relate to you. But in this season, there's no true standout. I mean, Becca and Austin seem cute together, but they have their issues as well, right?
Absolutely.
So, thoughts, Bria, as we wrap it up, where are you at right now with Married at First Sight?
Um, I feel the same way, as a lot of the viewers. I think that um it's turned into a show that is like specifically just for drama and ratings and not about seeing if the experiment really works, if it can be love at first sight or married at first sight, whatever the premise is. Um, I think we've already seen that it can work. Um, and so now what they're doing with the show is just trying to make it entertaining.
Yeah,
It's very evident with the selection they picked for what's his name? Michael?
yeah,
The, yeah.
that it could be
Yeah,
more of the same.
absolutely. And then with this, it's like you could actually see their thought process and how they selected. And it's just like, how in the world do you think this would be a good pick for Michael? It's not.
I don't think so
And
either.
right.
And I
And
think
like
it's sad for Chloe too
yeah,
because she seems to be so ready. And uh,
I think Chloe's a plant. I'm not gonna hold you.
oh,
I
you
think
did say that. She
I
did
do.
say
I
that.
think, like
She
I said,
did.
I think that she gave a
She has
really good
not changed her
Hallmark
position.
yes, a good Hallmark performance. It sounded it would sound great for a Hallmark movie about this businesswoman that's trying to settle down and all of that. It
Yeah.
sounded very rehearsed and
Mhm.
very Lifetime Hallmark, that type of
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Um,
agree.
but I do. I feel like it's turned into this. I think that the therapists and experts are very disingenuous.
I agree.
Um, I think that they do what the producers tell them to do. Uh,
Agreed.
it's sad, and I do. I think that ultimately this show is going to end in tragedy. I hope not. God, I
I
hope not.
hope not.
But the
But
way this is going, and I already told you, they alternate between East and West Coast. They're
mhm,
already filming in Austin. They're already so that means that they've wrapped an East Coast already,
yeah,
which means that they did not take any time to vet these contestants or anything.
these
And so
cast members, yeah.
yes, and so it's going to be more of the same. And like I said, I pray not, but I do believe that this show is going to end in a tragedy.
Well, guys, you heard it here first. We pray not, but anytime you deal with people that are putting
Mm,
themselves out there and getting faced with rejection, when you are doing something under the premise that I have given you all of these things that my heart desires, and you have told me you found my perfect match, and my perfect match rejects me.
Yes, doesn't
Even the
want
most
to
together
change.
person can be reduced by that. So, guys, I'd like for you to please put in the comments what you're thinking. And let us know your feedback on what you think about this season of Married at First Sight Denver. Let's talk about it. Yeah. And then when we come back next week, we're going to go back over some of the feedback that we got for those of you guys that are watching Married at First Sight. And we're gonna always end up each segment on Married at First Sight kind of talking about that. So please, guys, weigh in. Want to say thank you, guys, for coming in and tuning in tonight. We will be back on Saturday for Pop Culture Saturday, and we are actually planning to go live. So look out for that. And again, I want to take a little time to thank our subscribers. Thank you guys so much. Please keep coming back. Please keep commenting because we want your feedback. Please if you like what you see, hit the like button. Share, please share our content. And subscribe. Those of you that haven't subscribed yet, just hit that button and then hit the notification button so you know when we upload new videos, when we plan to go live, because we're going to keep coming back because we do this. And we thank all of you guys for supporting us here at Alleged Actually. So with that, I'm going to say good night. Over to Bria.
Yes, good night. Thank you to all the subscribers, all the comments, all the likes. They mean everything. Even if it's a bad comment, just like literally it helps. So it'll help us get better. We read them all. Yeah, just thank you for the support. And I don't know, I'm grateful. Grateful, thankful, all of that. Thank you all. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yes, hit the little I think it's a bell icon.
Yeah, the notification bell. Yes. So you'll be you'll be the first to know when we upload or when we go live. And thanks for the love, guys. We love you back. And we really thank you for supporting this. This is something that we talked about. We've been talking about it for about a year. It's something that we just started doing. And you guys have been wonderful. So thank you for all your support. Please keep coming back. We'll see you back here on Saturday, Pop Culture Saturday. We have lots of tea for you. So come on back and have a good night. Thanks, guys. Bye.